So welcome back to Real People. Today we're in Ammanford, deep in the Welsh Valleys. It's freezing cold, it's -6, but today we're here to see Jason, one of the 5D members. Jason has a scaffolding firm, building firm and plumbing firm that he's recently acquired. So Jason's going to show us around and tell us what he's been up to. So when did you start the business, this one? Or how do you get into the industry?
Fell into the industry.
Yeah.
So basically Carl, who's my co-director, had the business and approached me basically. So I was doing a lot of general construction, and he tapped me up and he said, look, the scaffolding business, I've just started a scaffolding business. How do you feel coming getting involved? We were giving them a lot of work through our construction business. So I sat down with him and we came up with a little deal basically.
Yeah.
That was 2017. So I went in initially as a silent partner. So I just put a little bit of funding in, bought out the other director, sat on it then until 2019.
Yeah.
I was busy doing other things. And since then I've kind of gone all in on it then and tried to grow the business and push it forward in the last 3 years, which, touch wood, has been pretty good so far.
So you got a lot of kit, right?
Yeah.
You just moved to this premises, was it like 9-10 months ago?
Yeah, a touch more, maybe about 12 months ago now. So
How long has it taken to build up the amount of kit? Because you've got quite a lot of trucks, loads of kit.
yeah, it takes time, it's difficult. It's not easy to finance this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this kit now has sort of grown organically for the last 2 years, maybe 3 years. So in 2019 when I got involved, I'd say probably the value of the kit we had was about 100,000.
Yeah.
And we're probably sitting on maybe 1.5 now.
Wow. Yeah.
So in 3 years we have bought a lot of kit. I think 2020 was the year, COVID.
Yeah.
We had a small cut off, but once we went back, the industry was booming. We had work, and I think we probably spent 600 to 700k that year on kit.
It's one of those things to grow. You need to keep reinvesting in kit, keep reinvesting in kit. Has that ever slowed you down up to now, or if you found that there's been nice steady space, the work that's coming in has been able to, enough there for you to live a good life, but also reinvest into the company?
It's difficult. There's it's not easy. There's a good margin in scaffold, so you use that margin to reinvest. And we've also got to the stage now where we've put, amount of kit on the balance sheet that we can raise money and we can get more finance. We've done a bit of crowdfunding this year, so to keep growing it, because it is a bit of a vicious circle. Now, once you start taking on the bigger jobs, that's the thing, you start leveling up as a business. So we're not doing jobs now for, I call it the Mrs. Jones who wants a house painted anymore, because with the overheads we've got here, we can't compete with the smaller guys.
So that's quite hard to move it around, really, to go from, you said, the Mrs. Jones up to some of the bigger stuff, is to knowing when to take the bigger work on and take it to.
And sometimes you can't dictate when you're going to do it. You get in with a client, or you go in, you introduce yourself, you start getting inquiries off them, you think you're going to get small works, the next thing you know they start throwing big jobs at you, and we've won work and we've looked around the yard and it's like, where's the kit coming from? We've got one massive job starting now in the new year, and that's what a lot of this stuff is year ready for. It was due for a December start. It's been pushed now to mid-Jan. The contract value to us is worth 350k for one job. So although we're pushing close to 2 million turnover now, and we've got bigger aspirations for next year, I think the largest job we've done is about 120k. So to put that into perspective, there's one job now that's going to have 350k value on it. And in terms of scaffolding that will be stood around that building, the value of the scaffold will be probably £1 million.
And you mentioned a good point, right, which for people in the 5D group, we're all looking to see different ways they can leverage to acquire another business, right, and stuff from the existing business they're looking at. You mentioned how finance can be a bit harder on scaffolding now. A lot of these are classes, a lot of the tubes and boards are classed as soft assets, right? So it's a lot harder to get a lender to lend against them. So what sort of things have you done to increase the sort of leverage of the kit that you have bought over time to be able to allow you to expand further?
Fixed asset register, so showing them processes and systems of knowing where we know what our kit are. So a lot of lenders think like, yeah, you've got all this kit, well, where is it? Can you account for it all?
Yeah.
So they want to see these things. So when you send them, you got to add a little bit more than just what you're asking for in terms of the numbers. You've got to show them, look, these are the systems and processes we've got. So one thing where I can probably show you later, we're developing the app. So we've got an app on the go now, and this will show, it'll geotag all our jobs, what kind of kit's on this job, where they are. That gives the lender a bit more confidence that we've got processes and systems in place that if shit was to hit the fan, they know where the kit is. And also time, in terms of just putting in positive accounts year on year. It does grow confidence with the lender, and then
building the history in the company.
Yeah, we've had to take some smaller finances at higher rates.
Yeah.
So we bought, there's some plastic decking up the top of there, which is like a fall arrest system inside new build properties. So that's something we invested in 2 years ago.
Right.
And I think, we paid a high interest rate with the lender, just as a foot through the door and build up some rapport and some trust to them. But now that lender is phoning us up, offering us
that
more
makes
money.
sense.
Yeah.
What's this, the new tube paint that's coming out? Are you going to invest in any of that? I think it's to prevent people stealing your scaffolding.
Yeah, so all this has got that in there. So,
right,
so it's, I'm not too clued up on it, but from our supply, it's got UV in it, so it's a unique code to us. Like, so
that's good.
Yeah, a lot of that goes on in our industry.
Honestly, it's hard, right? Because like this tube, you could put it anywhere, and it's like you said. How do you know where everything is? How much money you've got? Because you're consistently reinvesting. So let's go inside. 'Cause it's freezing.
Yeah. I'll take you inside.
So you just mentioned that you've been working on the new business that you've recently acquired.
Yeah.
You came in a few days ago, and one of the new managers didn't know you were. So that's a good thing to show that it is growing, and you're not needed in a lot of the day-to-day, or some of it anyway. You also mentioned how you recently ripped out your computer and you've moved it down to the new business as well, right? So. Was there a reason behind that? Is that mainly to just keep your eyes focused on the new acquisition, or was there something?
Yeah, it's to push the new acquisition along. So just behind us where we stood, is the desk, which is no more, and everything's been moved down there. So the acquisition, went through on the 1st of November. We had an intense week there of plans and goals and objectives we wanted to achieve. But then I found myself coming back up here and neglecting down there. We can get where we want to, but in terms of effort we put in, we can speed that up. So we can control the narrative in terms of we can get to the goal in 3 years, or we can get there in 6 months. So that just takes a little bit of time and spending time on the business.
So you've just acquired a plumbing firm. You recently almost acquired another scaffolding firm in Newport we were talking about, and you've also have a building firm on the side of this one as well. So I suppose they're all interlinked, right? And what's the thought process behind that? Is this going to be part of the bigger picture for the group, or was it?
There was no real plan from the outset. It's kind of things have fallen into place. So I'm not a scaffolder, no scaffolding experience at all, so just like I fell into scaffolding. But before that, when I finished my education with a degree, I set up a roofing company effectively, and we traded for 6-7 years. So if any of my building knowledge can be applied anywhere, I'd apply it to the roofing sector. So we had a roofing company that's basically become building company through getting some local authority contracts. So we class ourselves as general builders now. And that's how the scaffolding came into place, in that we were using a lot of scaffolding. So there was a synergy there where we thought, let's look at a scaffolding business to work with the building company. The plumbing's a bit of a curveball, because there's not as many synergies, but we feel we've got good clients, good contacts who use so that's where the synergy comes in, that our clients and contacts use plumbing companies. So, you know, we feel with the relationships we've built up with them, with the 2 other businesses, and the service we've provided them, and the reputation we've developed, that should interlink quite well moving forward, you know.
I suppose managing staff's hard because there's a lot of subcontractor work, right? So in scaffolding, the business model seems easier, but I think you're downplaying what you do, because I know that scaffolding, managing staff and retaining staff is hard, because I know that from experience that a lot of scaffolders will leave, work for someone else for the extra 10 a day or whatever. So it is hard to maintain staff and keep them happy too, right?
There's not much loyalty. We have to pitch ourselves as, you know, some of the better payers around. So we have to offer more money in that respect. We have to offer vehicles. We have to offer different perks to these guys that other businesses are not offering. That comes at a cost. But retaining scaffolders is difficult.
Well, let's take a look at the new acquisition, see what it looks like, and see what you're planning and moving forward with.
Okay.
Yonder Music.